I'm going to show you guys how I made this custom fuel system up underneath my 7.3 Powerstroke. Let's get started. Alright you guys, so here's the precision fuel pump we're going to be using. The actual inlet of the supply to the pump is a 3/4 by 16 MPT. I cannot find a fitting for the life of me. I've tried compression, I've tried gas, I've tried NPT, and anything at the parts store will not fit these Chinese made threads. And I went ahead and put a die on this, and again, it went to a 3/4 by 16. So you guys can see that fitting screws on no problem, and this is the fitting that came with it. And it actually seals via O-ring once it actually screws all the way down it. You guys can see that it's got this flare up, and that's for a quick disconnect, like an AN style, or like a normal fuel line, like you see in like an LS engine for an example. Well, the problem is for a quick disconnect to fit on here, there's not enough room in front of this flare because it's so short. The quick disconnect fitting actually can't seat all the way on the O-rings on the inside of the actual connect. So I'm SOL there, and I was trying to find a fitting. I couldn't find anything online, couldn't find anything locally. So I went out, since we're using 3/8 in this actual fuel system, because the factory fuel system's 3/8, we're going to keep that throughout, obviously. We're simply going to cut this off, bore this hole to a 3/8, solder / weld / stick these two together. And we're going to cut the post off, and we're going to braze these, sweat them together, and then that'll be our nice fitting. And I'll go back and grind it, and that's basically how we're going to do it. And this is all affordable, and these fittings are going to be reusable. These pumps, that's another thing. I wanted this fitting to be reusable. I didn't want to have, something half-assed, for an example. And I want this to be able to, unscrew from the old pump, screw into the new one, connect our AN there. Two wires. Guys, so I went ahead and polished this up, cleaned it up. You guys can see all the way around, it's looking pretty dang good. No small pinholes or low spots. There's that one little nick right there, but I'm not going to worry about that. Other than that, turned out really freaking nice. So that's a nice fitting that we can go ahead and reuse anytime we have to swap one of these pumps out, which I am going to guess probably never. Just had to get it started. And you guys can see, literally going on, minimal effort, no problem. And you guys can see, right, you guys, here's the finished fuel pump setup. I did a lot off camera. I've just been trying to get this done. Been really busy with the holidays, but we're back on it. For you guys, it's just a couple seconds. For me, it's been a couple weeks, actually. So went ahead, dismantled everything, powder coated the bracket gloss white to match the turbo, the suspension, things like that in my truck. So it looks nice. We went ahead and put some of this black edge molding just to kind of add that little extra pop and really to protect it for, again, it's chafe and everything. Of course, I did go back and round the edges, deburr it, but just that little extra detail. All right, so I wanted to show you guys the final product, walk you through. This is a really simple setup. You guys saw me build it up to this point. I'm gonna go over it again if you guys don't understand. Imagine my blue finger here. This is a 1/2-inch hose coming from the fast, which is sitting right there. This is a low pressure line, 8 to 10 PSI from the fast 125 that will supply the pre-filtered water separated fuel to the fuel pumps. All right, it goes from 1/2-inch, then we go down to 3/8 or 6 AN. We have these custom lines made. You guys can see coming through the distribution block. And on the back of these blocks, we have the 2 1/2-inch plugs, all right? Fuel comes in through these lines, through these custom fittings I brazed together. You guys saw that earlier in the video. I went ahead and I shortened these off camera. I didn't like how far they stuck out, so I shortened these about 1.5 inches, so that really shortened them up a lot. We come down here, we have our 6 AN to our 1/2-inch NPT adapters. Then we come in here to our fuel pumps, the 42020 or 4221 BF precision fuel pumps. Comes out, I went ahead and labeled the wiring, positive, negative, 12 gauge wiring, wired in parallel, just like the pumps. We have thick 12 gauge wire to our 12 volt plug. I'm gonna go ahead and hook up to the factory wiring in the truck. I'm going to be using that. I'm not going to put an external relay to mount or run the second pump. Stock wiring in the truck is adequate for this. It'd be fine, and it's fused. I'm not worried about it. All right, moving down, we have our 2 custom fittings. These originally were quick disconnects, but I didn't like that idea, and I actually ripped the O-rings out of one of these, putting it in with no lubrication. Haha, yeah. Anyways, and so I was like, well, screw it. So I went ahead, took the AN, or the quick disconnects, and I brazed them just like we did here. So I went ahead, brazed those on either side, so we don't have to worry about any O-ring leaks. Coming over here, we go down to a 6 AN coming back up. This is our feed going to our post filter, which you guys will see here in a couple seconds. That post filter is the 10 micron that I originally had in the truck. I'm going to reuse it. It's free. That goes to our 6AN swivel. Then coming out of that fuel filter housing will go up inside the truck, and you guys will see that all in a second. Hopefully that makes sense. Again, it's a very simple design, very simple concept, all stainless steel hardware. And as far as mounting it, we have 4 3/8-inch holes using stainless steel bolts and 1-inch spacers to space it off the back of the truck. And I can still get my hand back in here if we ever have to swap a pump out. So there it is, very easy, very simple setup. If you guys have any questions or comments, you guys confused, drop a comment down below, and I'll go over. You guys, the fuel system's done. No need to go ahead and get the fast mounted, get the dual fuel pumps mounted, get our line ran, adjust the fuel pressure, and we're almost done. Really, a lot of the work's been off the truck. The easy part's going to be mounting it. So go ahead and take a look at our setup we have now. You guys can see we have this IFJF external fuel filter here. I really should have had a post filter, but this is what I had at the time. I've had it in there for 2 years. It's worked, and I've had no problems. So we need to go ahead and take that off. That'll be our post filter. That'll be mounted up here. That'll be mounted after the fuel pumps, and then it'll go up and feed the engine. Our fast pump's going to be back here. I want to keep the feed or the supply line to the fast as small, or as short as possible, so we're not having any cavitation issues or anything there. So I'm going to mount that as close as the pickup on the bottom of the tank as we can. Then I'm going to mount the fuel pumps right in front of the fast so the line's not that long. Well, I didn't make a big mess. I got the fuel pump out, the bracket, and also I got the IFJF fuel filter housing down. That's just dripping from the rail. So that took me probably about 30 minutes. It kind of sucks getting up there. I'm not going to waste your time showing you what I did in the video of me installing it. So here's the precision replacement fuel pump I put in. This looks like a stock Bosch style. Well, obviously it's not a precision brand, but it uses the same body. This was the one I put in a couple years ago. You can see it's got the nice thick studs, the nice tall outlet, identical to the Bosch style, right? Well, we come over here to the new updated precision style. Again, these are both precision brand, 4221BF, 4221BF. Just look how cheap manufacturers have gotten over the years. I mean, you can just see plastic end caps, cheap little studs, plastic threads, metal quick disconnect. I mean, I guess in this favor, you know, it does this pretty good because I can just put an AN fitting here. But it's nice to have a quick disconnect. I never had a problem with this one leaking. You can look at the difference in the stud here. So it's crazy to look. I mean, that's just, I wanted to show you guys that. I'd rather than be this style than this style, but hey, you know, I had these, is what I'm going to work with. All right, you guys, we went over fuel pump comparisons. This is the actual line from the factory, obviously, that goes in front of the fuel pump, which would sit there. This sits in a plastic retainer inside the frame rail, another retainer about up here. Then this plugs in up to another quick disconnect on top of the engine cross member, just behind the oil cooler. You guys get up underneath the truck, you'll see what I'm talking about. It's in good shape. Well, here's another thing I didn't like about the old design. Look how short this snout is versus the new design. You guys see what I'm talking about here? I literally had to take the pump out, unthread it, and I could not get my 2 quick disconnect tools, and this is 5/16 by the way. And I'm gonna have to put this in a vise, which is no big deal, and cut this off, but I shouldn't have to do that. So if you guys have this style pump, use the precision fuel pump, but use the stock Bosch actual neck here, so you guys have enough length to get your quick disconnect tool in. I just wanted to show you that. But other than that, I took this out. I thought about making a whole AN line to run the entire length, but I'm gonna go ahead and put this back in because this, you know, is a good line. And also keeps it inside the frame rail. I don't have to zip tie it, worry about it chafing against anything. The fuel filter housing off, I didn't have to take this off, but one of the ball valves actually broke. So I went ahead and got a new one. The front one's still good, not worried about it. So while I had them out, went ahead, resealed all the threads. And you guys can see we have our 1/4-inch NPT to our 6AN adapter fittings. I didn't mention this in the video, I totally forgot about it. But anyways, you'll need 2 of those, one for the inlet, one for the outlet. And then I'm going to go ahead, put a new filter in, get our base all put back together. But I just wanted to show you that I had to put a new ball valve on there. Here we got our. As you guys can see, stock fuel pump delete. If you guys are a 2-wheel drive, that's the wiring. If you guys were a 2-wheel drive, you don't have to worry about the drive shaft being in your way. But other than that, you guys can see we got plenty of room. Got the AN line zip tied. We use that quick disconnect, you guys can see here. And I was able to actually get that 5/16 quick disconnect in here no problem, so that's really nice. I've got that ran up through that conduit holder up there, and that's where it goes outside the frame rail. And you guys see It screws in right here to the fuel filter housing. Making good progress. We went ahead, got our custom length harness made, went ahead, pre-lengthed it, got up underneath the truck, ran it how I wanted, then I trimmed the excess off. I went ahead, soldered the connector side, heat shrunk it. On the actual frame side of the truck, I'm going to cut the factory eyelets off. We have some waterproof heat shrink butt connectors. I know that it's not ideal, but for what we're doing, it's underneath the truck. It's easy just to use a torch as is. Trying to solder on your back, it sucks. So using this transfer pump to siphon the fuel out, because we have to take those fittings in the bottom of the tank out down there. We have to take those out to go to 5/8 down to a 1/2 inch on both sides. You guys can see we're transferring fuel. So this thing does 30 gallons per hour, again, only at 3.5 PSI. So it's got good volume, but not much pressure, which is all we need is to transfer stuff. So highly recommend you guys keep one of these little pumps around, keep it in your truck, your shop, your garage. It's just handy to have, especially in, you know, instances like this. Pulled the drain plug at the bottom of the sump, let that drain, and then it got low enough, and then it being at an angle on the ramps, the fuel went in the back of the tank. I was able to pull this plug out, and this was a 5/8 to 1/2 inch, or excuse me, 5/8 to 3/8 originally when I did this sump install. So we had to get those out. I went ahead and put the plug back in. So now we need to go ahead and get our feed from the tank up to our feed on the FAS, which is this guy back here. Okay, that'll run up behind it. Then our return is going to be the one up on the top of the FAS, which you guys can probably see there. That'll come up and around, down and tucked back into the tank. And this does have a actual separation inside the sump. If you guys are looking, it's got 2 different channels, so we don't have to worry about cavitation or causing any bubbling in the fuel. So, all right, you guys can see we have our main feed right here, and then mount the FAS. I just used one hole over here that was in the bed rail. Then I went ahead and just drilled one hole over here, and I actually ended up using a pair of speed nuts or S clips, whatever you want to call them, on the inside of the bed rail. Then I used the bolt with some big washers, and this is actually hardware off a F-250 truck that I had. So we're using parts. There we go. And it's mounted solid. It's not going to go anywhere. So other than that, let's keep going. And yeah, it's starting to look a little complicated down here, but it's not. And it looks badass. So I got the wiring ran all the way up through the engine bay. I still have to go back and zip tie it, but that's the easy part. I went ahead and I found my trigger 12-volt source, which is right here. If you guys are ever doing a install or anything, here's a little tip for you. Always run an extra 12-volt triggered wire in the engine bay, so you don't have to run this thing all the way up inside the engine bay. And I've already got enough wires, you guys can see here, even though it's clean. The relay's going over here, by the way. It's just one less thing you have to tap into. And yeah, so I'll snip that off, keep that fuse tap. And I'm just going to cut all this extra slack that I don't need off, and then we'll zzz those together. That'll be my 12-volt ignition. Then I went ahead, got my power and ground, ran up here, got that up behind the harness. And I've got all that slack down there to deal with, again, because this came off crew cab long bed, this fast system with the harness. I actually traded one of my buddies a couple parts, so shout out to him. Thanks, dude, appreciate it. And other than that, we're looking good. All right, you guys, all the wiring is done, zip tied, cleaned up, tucked, everything's nice, ready to go. All we have to do now is put fuel in the tank, put fuel filters on, prime it. I'll show you guys that here in a second, but I wanted to show you before the sun goes down. I mean, basically it's down, but before it gets pitch black out here. Went ahead, got our positive, our green negative, red positive, got that cleaned up, got the wires ran up underneath. You guys remember that little circle wire that was just sitting here, the yellow one I showed you? That's an extra trigger wire I had stored here for a rainy day. And well, it's not raining, but it's the day. So went ahead and I got it zip tied to this dummy plug here, because whatever accessory this truck is not equipped with is this plug here. I went ahead and zip tied that up. Used a nice Amazon connector I have here. This is for my subwoofer, you guys wondering. And I got the relay zip tied here. Got the wires tucked back and around. You guys can see I'm a very OCD freak when it comes down to wiring. You know, I have a lot going on here, but really, and this is starting to clutter me. This is starting to bother me, but I want to clean this up one day off camera. But anyways, that's good there. You guys can see, went ahead and zip tied everything up. I had like a million zip ties down here holding the same wire 4 different ways. Went ahead and cleaned that up. Here's our quick disconnect. You guys can see I put the hard line back in that connects them up there. Went ahead, got that ran back. Have our quick disconnect, that's a 5/16. And then we have our connector there. And then the factory wiring just clips in the frame rail and a hole right there. And then the wiring for the lift pump comes down here, following my other harnesses. And you can see where our AN line goes. Up underneath the skid plates, coming up on this side. You guys can see our wiring's there. And the harness was a little long again for the fast. What I did was I just took the slack up inside the frame rail. You'll never see it. And then coming out here is where the good stuff starts. So we have our ball valves. The up and down position means it's off or shut, so we can change our filter so we don't, leak. And honestly, with these filters or the lines going up, they're probably going to bleed down here. So I really didn't need the ball valves, but I'm going to put them there regardless. And you guys can see I got to plug in the harness up there. I have to clean off my powder coat there. Moving back, we have our feed, which comes to the FAS, which is that line there. This bottom one here I'm tapping on, that is our return back to the tank. We got that zip tied behind the traction bar up in the sump. And you guys can see our supply or our feed from the sump goes down right there. And then again, how OCD I am with wiring, goes through the bed rail. I need to get rid of a little rust spot, surface rust, come up, and I have it right there coming out of the bed rail. So that's a shot I wanted to get for you guys before it got really dark. But yeah, all right, you guys, well, that's a wrap. The video is kind of long, so we're going to end it here. Hope you guys enjoyed this tutorial. It wasn't a step-by-step, but I think it gave you guys a very good overview on how I made the fuel system, the before, after, and the end. If you guys have any questions, drop a comment down below or DM me over at Instagram at Powerstroke Boys. Thank you guys for watching. Remember to leave a like, comment, and subscribe. We'll see you guys in the next video. Thanks for watching.